"Get out, you worthless bum. This is our daughter's house now." Those were the words screamed at me by my mother-in-law, Diane, as I stood in my own driveway, staring at a pile of my belongings dumped unceremoniously on my front lawn like trash. My wife, Laura, hovered nearby, refusing to meet my eyes. They actually thought they could kick me out of the house I owned years before I even met her. The sheer, mind-boggling audacity, it almost made me laugh. Almost. The way this absolute dumpster fire unfolded is something else. Stick around to hear the whole story, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss these kinds of insane, real-life dramas. I got home around 6:30 p.m. yesterday. Killer day at work, brain totally fried, just dreaming of a cold beer and blessed silence. Pulled into my driveway and slammed the brakes. There was just stuff. On the lawn, my stuff, my favorite old college hoodie, a box of vinyl records spilled open, graphic novels, even the stupid ceramic owl Laura gave me 2 years ago, sitting crookedly on top of the pile. And standing there, practically vibrating with fury, were my in-laws, Diane and Robert, both in their 60s. Laura, my wife, was near the porch, arms crossed, looking anywhere but at me, radiating this weird mix of defiance and anxiety. Before my car door even clicked shut, Diane started in, her voice jagged, sharp. "There he is! Finally! The worthless bum!" I killed the engine. A strange sense of calm, like being deep underwater, settled over me. I got out slowly, deliberately didn't rush. Robert puffed out his chest, taking a step towards me like some territorial bulldog. "Okay, Mark, this isn't working. Get out. We're changing the locks tomorrow. This is Laura's house now. Our daughter deserves stability, security. Not." He waved a dismissive hand my way. "Well, you." Laura finally spoke, her voice thin, still avoiding my gaze. "Mark, it's over. I told you things weren't right. Mom and Dad agree. It's just better if you leave. Leave my house. The house I bought with my money, 5 years before Laura and I even matched on a dating app. The house where only my name is on the deed. The mortgage. Every single utility bill, because I set them up before she moved in. They'd visited maybe 4 times total before she lived here, always acting like they were gracing me with their presence. And now, suddenly, it's Laura's house. The mental gymnastics required for that leap were world-class. Diane advanced then, stabbing her finger towards me. "You heard him. Get out. You aren't welcome here, you worthless bum. This is our daughter's house now." She punctuated this declaration by kicking a cardboard box. My old Psych 101 textbook skittered across the damp grass, and that's when the sheer, overwhelming absurdity of it all just broke through. I started laughing, not a small chuckle, but a full-blown, slightly unhinged laugh that surprised even myself. It echoed in the quiet evening air. Diane's jaw literally dropped. Robert blinked, confused. Laura flinched like I'd struck her. "My house?" I managed to choke out between laughs, wiping an eye. "Laura's house? Wow. Did I miss the closing? Was there a memo I didn't get?" Robert recovered first, blustering. "Don't you dare mock us. This is only fair. Laura dedicated years to you. She deserves this house for everything she's put up with." Put up with what, exactly? My stable job? Paying all the bills while she contributed minimally? "Since you clearly don't appreciate her," Diane jumped back in, venom dripping from every word. "You work constantly. You're never home. We're stepping in to ensure she has what she deserves." "Right," I said, the laughter finally dying, replaced by pure ice. I pulled out my phone. "Well, if you're stepping in, maybe you should step back. Way back." Laura's eyes widened in panic. "What are you doing?" "Calling the folks who handle property disputes," I said evenly, already dialing. "Trespassing, specifically. You know, the police." Diane shrieked, "Don't you dare! This is a family matter." "Not when you're on my property, throwing my stuff around and telling me to leave my house. It isn't," I replied, putting the phone to my ear. I calmly gave the dispatcher my address, stated there were 3 individuals trespassing, refusing to leave, had moved my belongings onto the lawn, and were falsely claiming ownership of my home. Diane was practically gargling with rage in the background, screaming that I was the one who needed to leave. Robert started towards me again, muttering about talking sense into me. "Robert, I wouldn't," I warned sharply, holding up my free hand. "Stay right there. Adding assault to the trespassing charge won't look good for you." He hesitated, then stopped. Laura looked genuinely panicked now. "Mark, please, hang up. Just go stay with your brother Kevin for a few days. We can talk later." "Talk about what, Laura?" My voice was flat, devoid of emotion. The betrayal, her standing there while her parents did this, felt like a physical blow. "The part where you plotted with your parents to illegally kick me out of the house I own? Or the part where you stood by silently while they called me a worthless bum and threw my life onto the lawn? Which bit requires clarification?" She winced, looking away again. The flashing blue and red lights arrived remarkably quickly. 2 patrol cars, 4 officers. They took in the scene instantly. Me by my car, my possessions scattered across the grass, the hostile trio huddled near the porch. They separated us efficiently. 2 officers went to talk to Diane, Robert, and Laura, while the other 2 came over to me. I explained the situation again, calmly, showed my driver's license with the matching address, mentioned the deed was solely in my name, acquired years before the marriage, explained they were demanding I leave my own home. The senior officer listened intently, face unreadable, then went to rejoin the other group. I heard snippets of the conversation drifting across the lawn. His legal residence. Civil matter for the courts. Must vacate the premises immediately. Diane went nuclear. It's her marital home. He can't just throw her out. We aren't leaving. Robert puffed up again, trying his intimidation routine on the officers. We're staying here to protect our daughter. The senior officer's patience visibly evaporated. Ma'am, sir, this isn't optional. This is his property according to the identification provided. You are currently trespassing. You need to leave. Now. Diane planted her feet defiantly. No! That was the end of the discussion. One officer took Diane firmly by the arm. She shrieked and tried to yank away, but he was resolute. Another officer firmly steered Robert towards the sidewalk. It wasn't rough, but it was decisive and non-negotiable. They were physically escorted off my property, yelling threats and insults the entire way. You'll regret this, Mark. We'll see you in court, you bum. Laura trailed after them, head down, crying, looking small and defeated. She didn't look back once, as their car, parked suspiciously just down the block, suggesting this was premeditated, sped off. The second their car was out of sight, my phone exploded. Texts, missed calls, voicemails. Diane's incoherent rage. Robert's pathetic attempts at guilt-tripping. I thought you were a better man than this, Mark. Laura's whining texts. Mark pulls call me, it's not what it looks like. My parents were just worried we can fix this. I ignored every single one. Methodically, deliberately, I started gathering my belongings from the lawn. Carried everything back inside. Locked the door. Double-checked the deadbolt. Felt shaky, furious, but weirdly, fiercely resolute. First call tomorrow morning, locksmith. Second call, divorce lawyer. They actually thought that insane plan would work. Unfreaking believable. Update time. Met with my lawyer, Mr. Evans. Sharp guy. Laid out the whole ridiculous story, showed him the deed, mortgage docs, tax bills, all solely mine, all predating Laura by years. He confirmed what I already knew. Legally, the house was my separate property, end of story. Laura might theoretically try to claim a tiny sliver of appreciation value, but proving substantial direct contribution would be nearly impossible since I paid all significant costs. He immediately started drafting the divorce petition, citing irreconcilable differences, but factually summarizing the lawn incident as crucial context. The harassment didn't stop, of course. It just mutated. Constant calls from blocked numbers. Caller ID is a godsend. Texts escalated from Diane's all-caps threats, "You will pay for this," to Robert's manipulative drivel, "Think of the good times, Mark. Don't throw it all away." To Laura's pleading, "Mark pulls talk to me, I miss you." Then Laura's older sister, Nicole, jumped into the ring. Nicole always saw herself as the family fixer, enforcer. Started with sickly sweet texts. "Mark, honey, you need to talk to Lore. This is tearing her apart." When I ignored those, the claws came out. Angry voicemails. "You gutless coward, answer the phone." Then came the doorbell. One evening, just relentless ringing. Ding dong, ding dong. Checked the video doorbell. Nicole, looking furious. Ignored it. Then the banging started, loud enough to rattle the door frame. "Mark, open this demon door. You owe her. You think you can just kick her out after everything?" The projection was breathtaking. Saved the video footage, called the non-emergency line again, referenced the prior trespassing incident, emailed them the footage. Police paid Nicole a visit. The direct harassment from her stopped, but I knew they weren't done. Subtler tactics started. A fraud alert on my credit card for an online order I didn't make. Caught it, canceled the card. An alert from my bank about a suspicious login attempt. Changed passwords everywhere. Enabled two-factor authentication on everything. Then came the deluge of junk mail addressed to Laura at my address. Bridal magazines? Seriously? Parenting catalogs? We don't have kids. Endless credit card offers. Annoying, possibly an attempt to reestablish residency on paper. Marked everything. Returned to sender. Addressee no longer resides here. Tossed it in recycling. Robert and Diane started doing slow, creepy drive-bys past the house. Robert even yelled, "Enjoy it while you can," out his window one afternoon. Felt like a scene from a bad thriller. Installed 2 more security cameras covering the street approach. The smear campaign ramped up too. My brother Kevin told me Nicole had called him, launching into a wild tirade about how I was unstable, abusive, controlling, and had tossed poor Laura out penniless after I supposedly had an affair. Kevin knows me, knows the toxic family dynamic, and shut her down fast. But they were definitely trying to poison the well. Heard from Emily, Laura's cousin, who's quietly sympathetic, that Diane had cornered her at a family function, boasting about how they were taking care of things and ensuring Laura got the house she deserved. The pre-planning, the entitlement. It was all real. Laura's lawyer finally sent a formal demand letter to Mr. Evans. The ask was laughable. 50% of the house's current value, $5,000 a month in spousal support, and naturally, I should pay her legal fees. Mr. Evans's response was ice cold. He reiterated the house's non-negotiable status as separate property, CC'd the deed again for good measure, referenced the police reports for the eviction attempt and Nicole's harassment, stated spousal support was a non-starter given her conduct and the short duration she actually lived there post-marriage, though we dated longer, and basically said we'd discuss the minimal actual marital assets, like the small joint savings, only after the house issue was formally dropped. Blocked all their numbers again. All communication strictly through lawyers now. It was stressful, nights without sleep, but every ridiculous demand, every failed stunt just hardened my resolve. They thought I'd crumble. Big mistake. Deep breath, final update. It's done. Officially, completely done. The divorce decree is finalized, and the consequences for team entitlement are, well, exactly what they orchestrated for themselves. The last few months involved some legal dragging, but were ultimately predictable. Nicole, after being shut down by my work HR for sending harassing emails, which Mr. Evans also documented, tried one last stunt. A fake social media profile using my name and pictures, posting inflammatory garbage. Caused a minor headache explaining it to my Aunt Sarah who saw it, but it was clumsy. Mr. Evans sent a cease and desist. We reported the profile. It got nuked. That finally shut Nicole up. Diane and Robert continued their pity tour around the extended family, but it lost traction. People started avoiding them. Their narrative just didn't stick once the facts about my sole ownership of the house and the lawn incident trickled out, mostly via me calmly stating facts when asked directly. The legal process crawled. Laura couldn't produce a single document proving any financial contribution to the house. Her lawyer kept trying to push mediation focused on the house. Mr. Evans shut it down every time. Finally, in a pretrial settlement conference, facing zero legal ground on the house, the documented harassment evidence, and a judge clearly losing patience, Laura's lawyer advised her to cut her losses. The revenge? Served ice cold, legally and financially, just by holding the line. My goal wasn't petty vengeance. It was simply refusing to compromise on my rights and letting the natural consequences of their actions play out. The divorce decree was brutally simple. House confirmed 100% my separate premarital property. No equity split, no buyout. Off the table. Spousal support? Denied, citing short marriage duration, legally time living together post-marriage, and documented misconduct, the lawn incident, harassment. Assets? We split the tiny joint savings, about $6,000 total. She got her personal belongings, that's it. Even getting her belongings was a hassle. Laura ignored requests for weeks. Mr. Evans advised packing it professionally and storing it to avoid claims of damage. I paid the initial storage fees just to get it out of my house. Her lawyer was informed the cost would be deducted from her share of assets or billed directly. She refused to pay ongoing storage. I ended up paying another month just to stop the unit going to auction. More cost for me, but Mr. Evans successfully argued to have those costs reimbursed from her minimal share of the final settlement. After everything, she netted barely $2,000. The financial implosion they created for themselves is almost darkly comedic. Laura quit her job before the lawn incident, clearly assuming she'd get a massive payout from my house. Diane and Robert, equally arrogant, co-signed a lease on a pricey apartment for her immediately after, banking on that same fantasy payout. Now, Laura has no job, virtually no savings, no support. Diane and Robert are stuck paying $2,500 plus a month rent for her. Emily, the cousin, mentioned hushed, furious at arguments over there. Robert apparently told Laura to get a minimum wage job yesterday. Heard Diane had to take a significant penalized withdrawal from their retirement fund to cover the initial costs and ongoing support. They built their own financial nightmare through sheer, blinding arrogance. Socially, they're isolated. Most mutual friends faded or took my side. Their attempt to control the narrative failed spectacularly. They aren't seen as victims. They're seen as grasping and foolish. How am I doing? Relieved doesn't even begin to cover it. Vindicated. Lighter. It was a draining 4 months. Stress, anger, disappointment. But seeing the legal process work, methodically dismantling their entitled fantasy, brought real closure. The house feels like mine again. I'm quietly reclaiming it. New paint, rearranging furniture, catching up with friends they didn't approve of, planning a road trip. Thinking seriously about getting that rescue dog I always wanted. The quiet isn't lonely anymore. It's peaceful. My phone stays silent. No desperate texts, no angry calls, just peace. They tried to take everything. They ended up wrecking their own finances and reputations. Couldn't have scripted a more fitting end, based entirely on their own actions. Thanks for following, Reddit. Time to close this chapter and move on.